evil doing's evil doing. Doesn't matter what country you're in. It's horrible. And not that any deaths are good, but in that kind of guerrilla warfare, it's just unfortunate that civilians get caught in the middle. And when the civilians are targeted, it's even worse, because there's no tactical or strategic reason for doing it. It's just strictly psychological warfare for terror. It's horrible.
My initial reaction was one of repulsion and anger. I think initially, I'm a military veteran, and being someone who believes deeply in freedom and in equal rights for everyone, I think seeing people indiscriminately killed having done nothing wrong, then believing in the wrong things, I find it deeply offensive, and just morally atrocious, I should say.
In terms of taking over this country, no. In terms of affecting how its citizens behave here a little bit and abroad, very much so. I think Europe is probably more to worry about ISIS, and its origins are Al-Qaeda. So I think it's more of an attitude. It'll affect tourism in certain countries, but for the most part, it's radical extremists, and it's just, there's always been radical extremists throughout history. So.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that it's, to me, being in law enforcement, it's sort of a miracle that we haven't experienced more danger akin to something like Israel or other countries. I think it's only a matter of time before terrorist acts come, and when they do, I'm not sure that we're really going to be prepared for the consequences. But any person or any group who just doesn't act as if they have anything to lose and don't act like they value human life or property or rights or anything, they're dangerous. So absolutely, we're definitely facing a threat.
ISIS constitutes a direct threat to the national security of the United States.
It can be monitored. I don't think it can be absolutely stopped or absolutely prevented, because we live in a free society. And most cultures are free societies, but I think that's where your NSA and your CIA and your FBI come in terms of having the informants and having people on the inside. That's what really helps, and that's what we really need to support.
I think that when you see something that, in my estimation, on its face is just an evil organization, you have to fight it, and you have to fight it all the way, and you have to fight it until they're defeated. So regardless of how powerful they get, or how much influence they ultimately exert, it's our duty, especially in this country, to put up a wall and defend ourselves and defend our way of life and defend other nations' way of life against that threat.
Mr. Speaker, we will be asked as a Congress later today to vote on authorization of the President's request to arm Syrian rebels. I rise this morning to oppose the President's request, and I do so with a heart of conviction that says we must do more to combat, confront, defeat, and destroy ISIS, but also with a conviction, respectfully, that the President's request is simply wrong.
I think it's less about what the structure is than it is about what the rules are within that structure and allow people to communicate. One of the big issues that we had before 9/11 is that part of our intelligence apparatus was unable to communicate with another part of it, so that we didn't, even though the folks that were the hijackers on 9/11, we knew that they were doing the kinds of things that they were doing. We didn't know what their motive was, but we knew that they were doing the kinds of things they were doing, but we weren't informing the right portion of our security apparatus within our federal government to let those red flags go up and stop those folks from doing what they did, killing 3,000 of our citizens and changing our society forever. So we need to make sure that that communication is happening between different portions of our
The fact is, the agreement to withdraw our troops was negotiated by George W. Bush. When we couldn't get an agreement in Iraq for the protections for our troops, there was agreement that we needed to withdraw them. So I don't think we should send them back as an occupying force, as my opponent has suggested. We do need to address the threat of ISIS, and, you know, this is another issue where we need serious people working together in a way that is really going to address this threat, not fear-mongering and raising claims that it's going to bring down the country.
You know, beheading people on TV, on social media, there's no, in this is my opinion, there's no God, there's no religion, there's nothing that says that's a good thing to do. I don't care if it's Christian or Jewish or Islamic or Hindu, there's nothing that says that's good to do to your fellow man, period. So if I were, and if you're asking should the U.S. do more, this is just my opinion, yeah, I think we should do everything in our power to stop that. I don't know and don't have my finger on the button of the planes and ships and missiles and things, but that's got to stop. I hope that what is going on in that area of the world is not a partisan issue in the United States. You know, I hope everybody that's elected in Congress, they may not agree on the approach to it, but I think every single member of Congress, the ones that were reelected, the ones that lost elections, abhor the brutality that's going on over there.